Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fat Finger Daddy. I got the name from my kids, partly from watching YouTube, partly from having some fat fingers. I'm going to roll with it for now. Today I'm going to cut my first ever YouTube video. This is part of what I want to do, something this year for a learning experience for me, but also to share with you something that I'm passionate about, which is data visualization, educating people, showing you how it's done, equally Formula One. So what I'm going to do through the course of this year is create a visual for each of the Formula One races, record it, put it up on YouTube, and hopefully evolve over the course of a season a mechanism to show you how to do lots of different things using Tableau, using some data. Learn a lot for yourself and learn a lot for myself. It is a couple days into the season already, but let's pick up and see how we can do. I'm going to start today with looking at Tableau. There will be videos in the future on how you get to this far if you haven't got Tableau or Tableau Public just yet. But we're going to start here and we're going to dive into making two really simple charts, publish up a little dashboard on the first race of the season, display some information and get you going. So our Tableau interface starts off very simply. We have a button over here that will say connect to data. We have a canvas over here to do the kinds of things that we want to look at. We need to start with some data. We're going to start with a connector. I am using Tableau Public, and so I don't have as many options as the full version, but I have enough because I can get to a Google Drive or Google Sheets, which is where you can put your data, connect to it, continue updated, and working away. It's going to go through and now authenticate me. I've set this up, so I'm going to allow it. It's going to let me close my window. And that will come up and bring me the different data sets that I have for today. I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to connect. It's going to go through and pull that data down for me. Let me look at it, see the information that I have. I've included information on the constructors and the drivers. We'll start with the drivers. I'm just going to drag that over here into the middle of the page. It's then going to go populate that through. Give us the information, the drivers, the information we have down here. Tell us the kind of information we have to include, whether it's a string, a number, or not. These being the races, which we'll come to in a future time. And we'll see here if we're looking that our ABCs have come up. This is interpreting the points as a score. We really want these to be numbers, so I could go through and change this manually, but fortunately Tableau has this wonderful thing over here called the data interpreter. I'm just going to click that on. It's going to go through and look at the data, make some of that understanding of how people work with spreadsheets, convert it into how computers work with spreadsheets. And we'll see here that it's now turned these into numbers. That'll let us make sure that these can become measures. We can change the values through here if we right click or just click on that arrow. I'm happy enough with this. I'm going to take the hint and I'm going to go to sheet 1. I'm going to see here that I have some measures down here in green. I have lots of values up here. These are all the future races. I'm going to note that actually these have gone through into dimensions. Dimensions let you cut the information. So I'm just going to click this little tiny arrow down through here. And I'm going to convert that one to the measure. I only want the Bahrain race this year, this cycle at least. So that's all I'm going to do. A little bit in the future, we're going to find a way to bring those together so they're all in the measures and work with them. But today is just one race. We only need really one set of measures for it to come through. Our drivers has split the data, and we'll see that we have to do a little bit of work to change the name on that. But we're going to go ahead and get started and have our first look. We have all these measures, but I'm going to take drivers 1. That's all the people that we're racing. I'm going to drag it over here, put it on my sheet. You can also put it up here into row 1. It's going to give you a list of all the names of the drivers from the data source I have. It's not going to have any data to go with it yet, but it'll get you started to explore it. We know that we converted this information to measure. Let's drag that on over here and put it onto the ABCs as well. That'll be the points that they had inside the first race. And now we're starting to see that there's lots of zeros. Charles Leclerc won. We've got some information, but we want more than just the numbers. The numbers you can find in the newspaper. We want to see it visually. This is what we're going to use Tableau for. We can come up here to this thing called Show Me. Click on that once and it will bring up all the chart types that are available for you to work with in Tableau. Interestingly enough, this is all that is there. Everything we can create is formed from the basis of these. Not all of them are highlighted, which means we don't have the information we can use yet. For example, if we wanted a histogram, we only need a measure. It's not highlighted to let us, but we can make a tree map, or even if we're brave, a pie chart. We see this one's got a box around it. This is the recommended one, recommended for a horizontal chart. I don't feel like disagreeing with the recommendations today, so I'm going to click that once, close down the show me, and now we see that we've turned this from numeric information into a chart. We can see there's some big gaps. Some people still have 0, some people don't. I always like to use this sort button. I like my order in a bit of a Pareto. I like to see the top thing first. So I always click that sort to get our information in that order. And we can see who's first, second, third, fourth, and all the way down. At least certainly by the names, and some of the people that, of course, in one race, not everyone can have all of the results yet. What I found really interesting putting this together is, of course, we know that the winner of the race probably has a benefit. They're probably a little bit further ahead. In this chart, though, because of the visual way that humans interpret it, charts are really good for us. But here we can see there's actually a huge gap between second and first, much bigger than the next one, the next one, the next one down. Kind of really showing them how valuable it is to win. Now, there is an extra point in here that he got for fastest lap. But that is a big gap for one race, and just becomes really apparent when you put it in this style. We might want to get more interested and give a bit of color to it. I'm going to drag that. I'm going to hold the mouse key down. I'm just going to drag this up here onto color. See that right through there. That's going to give us some color information around it, make it easier to see the differences between the individuals. We'll see that they're not actually lined up very well with their teams per se. So we might not actually want to keep that, or we might want to do something around some custom colorization, which we'll have a look at it in another session. I'm actually going to undo that. I'm not very happy with that one right now. So I'm going to click the undo button at the top here. Let's leave that in simple blue. Let's simply call it our chart. I'm going to go click on sheet 1, highlight that and change the name. I'm going to call it the drivers. It's going to be about 15 point. I'm going to make sure it's in this dark color. I'm going to make sure all of it's in the dark color. I'm going to hover over this, right click. I'm going to hide these field labels because it's obviously the constructors. And that looks tidy enough for me at the moment. Come down here to sheet 1. Let's call it drivers. We've done our first chart. We've gained some insight as to who's won and by really how much. We've shown who else has had a crack at it. We could put some coloration into this if you wanted to. And I think in a future lesson, as we've explored Tableau, we'll spend some time on getting the custom colors into it so we can really make this much more relevant. But we've started with that. Let's go make the next one. I'm going to go click on this little plus down here to open up sheet 2. I am going to need some more data, so I'm going to go off the page and get new data. I'm going to go back to the Google Sheets, same thing again. I'm going to use my account. Yes, I can. Appreciate the security for it if it's a little tedious. Same chart, still good, because we had the constructors in there as well, if you remember. Constructors will drag over into here. The numbers have done the same thing. I'm going to turn on the data interpreter, let it get back into the numbers for me. I'm going to check this layer type, and we see that it's still numbers. I can't change it to a measure here, so I'm going to have to go change it when I get back into sheet 2. Come down here and click into sheet 2. Remember, we have to change this into a measure so we can measure it. We'll put it down there. We'll do it in a different order. We'll just drag that one on today. We'll see there's 102 points totally available. That's true for all the points if they're assigned, including the fastest lap. I like to do that to make sure I've actually got my data in line. If that's a bigger number, I've made a mistake. We'll take our constructors up here to rows. We've got our numbers through here. Click show me, click that again. Same thing, we've got everything in line, and of course we like to see who's leading by how much. Again, big couple of gaps, first and second place, second and third place, long way to go. On the first race of the season, it is a long season, but they've opened up something quite spectacular there. Let's give it the same kind of name change. Instructors. I like that. Make it a sufficiently dark color. Right click over here, we'll just hide this. We know they're the constructors. We'll leave them through there. These ones, let's take a bit of a stab at doing some coloration on this one. So we'll drag that constructors over here onto my color. It'll assign everybody a default color, which if in doubt, go with that. But we're going to come down here and we're going to edit some of the colors. I'll just show you that again. So I'm going to click on this box over here in the marks. Gives me the option to edit the colors. There's a couple we'll need to see here just to make this. Now Ferrari is typically going to be something red. We'll probably want to start with that. Aston Martin's turned out green. They don't have any more points for now. Mercedes is a darker color. Maybe we better go look at it. Let's go to see if Tableau 12 has something for us. Darker color there for Mercedes. Haas is equally kind of a dark black color. We may not have the right color palette that we want here. Go down here. Not seeing anything that's perfect just yet. Clearly we're going to have to get a bit more sophisticated with this. So let's just shuffle around the colors that we have. We'll definitely make Ferrari into red. Alfa Romeo is going to be probably closer to an orange, but they don't have any. No, they do have some points. It's good. The Haas, great to see them up there. We want them to have a darker color. And I realize I'm duplicating some of them, but not every team has points. So we'll put them there. Red Bull is going to be blue. Mercedes, we like to be dark. Let's give them purple today. Don't think McLaren, Mercedes got any. We'll hide them out of their luck. Aston Martin, Alpine is kind of coming in pink. And then the AlphaTauris were coming in. They need a nice bluish color as well. Let's apply those colors. Push OK. They're certainly not perfect by any stretch of the imagination for this, but we've got some variation. Probably the most important one is that Ferrari is red. I'm going to do something with that Mercedes. Let's give them a yellow for today. We'll come back and fix these colors. So Ferrari is now red. We've got some color variation, even if it's imperfect. We can see the different teams. We'll call that the constructors. We'll run with that for 2 charts. We know who's won the race. We know who's ahead. We'll come down here now to dashboard. We'll click new dashboard. We'll see a very similar interface for it. I'm going to check over here. I'm going to take a fixed size. I'm not going to take anything big today. Let's just do an 800 by 600. Should be good enough. See it on this side here. We'll put our screen in, start off with some text, tell people what this is about. Let's give it that. Put my name across the top of it just for now. We'll highlight that. This will be our headline, so we want to make that bigger. Again, we'll make sure it's a black color. We can, of course, make it, red if we want to italicize it, bold it. But let's start with that, and it's going to take up the whole screen because it's the only element we've put so far into this. The sheets that we have are down here. We just drag and drop them, and I'm going to drag that underneath. Poof. Puts my title up. I'm going to grab the top of that, and I'm just going to make it the space so that I can see what the rest of it looks like. My title is not too bad. My drivers are here, taking up all the space. I've got constructors on this one. I think I'm going to put it beside over here today. It's brought up that. It's also brought up the color legend, so in case you don't have the same labels here, you can put them in. I'm actually going to turn this off, so I'm going to select on this, click this X and remove it. It's nice and easy. The name is right beside them. The score is right there. I'm going to select on this box just to tidy it up when I publish. I'm going to change this from standard to entire view. That's going to fill up the box for us. If it gets too long, it's going to fill it in for us automatically. Do the same thing over here, entire view. That's the one I'm actually worried about because it's a little bit longer. And now we have 2 charts in a view. Might actually want to add for today. I'm going to add in a bit more text. I'm going to put that text just down here at the bottom. I'm going to squeeze that constructors together. Let's do it properly. First race. Interesting how our winner gets a dramatically larger share of the points when you see it in visual. I'll make sure that's all dark color. I'm not going to make it too big. It is just part of my story. Push OK down there. It's filled in my boxes, giving me some commentary, some context to what I'm going to do. Just resize that. It's not a lot of text to play with. Come here. This has gotten a bit light, so I'm just going to go over here and double check they're still blue. Come back on the dashboard. Seems to be a light color. Let's call this FFD, Finger Daddy. Race 1. Now I actually constructed my first visual. I've got a title. I've got the drivers down through there. I can see this big gap. I've got my constructors and bigger gap through here. Clearly they won. Clearly they've got some good points together through it. There is an infinite amount more that we can do with this. I'm going to explore that over the course of the coming races for you. Record them in a similar way. Share them with you. Hopefully you'll have a chance to learn, explore, learn something about Tableau, learn something about Formula One, learn something about data, learn something about YouTube while I go through that journey as well. Stay tuned for a future one.